Chapter 21 Mysterious Woman. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sir, we are from the Long family. Please forgive us this time for the sake of our Long family. Long Miaoyin came out from behind Xiao Fan and begged for mercy. A member of the Long family, the middle-aged man frowned again, glanced at Xiao Fan and Long Miaoyin, and probably guessed their identities. Xiao Fan's waste son-in-law came to his house. He defeated Long Xiaotian a while ago and made a fuss. However, he didn't care. He just thought that Long Xiaotian had a false reputation. After all, this kind of thing was very common. If he was a true genius, how could the Xiao family give up? Beat him to death and send him away to become a son-in-law. Another third lady of the Long family, she was born with a birthmark on half of her face and was so ugly that she dared not see anyone. People from the Long family can leave, but this person can't. The middle-aged man pointed at Xiao Fan. Someone is causing trouble in the Jinbao Pavilion today. If it is all because of the family power behind it and no one is punished, then the reputation of the Jinbao Pavilion will be ruined. He doesn't want to offend the Su family, and he doesn't want to offend the Long family either, so he'll just do something with his new son-in-law. Xiao Fan's face was gloomy and he looked at the middle-aged man coldly. The matter had nothing to do with him. He didn't expect that the other party would target him like this. Sir, why can't my husband? He is also a member of my Long family. Long Miaoyin exclaimed. Huh, Long family. The middle-aged man sneered. He is just a son-in-law, not even a member of the Long family. If you violate the rules of my treasure pavilion, you will have to pay the price. The middle-aged man had already made up his mind to use Xiao Fan to establish his authority. His aura surged and he planned to cut off Xiao Fan's arm himself. Xiao Fan's face was so gloomy that water could drip from his face. He clenched his fists tightly with his hands, and his cultivation was running in his body. He was already ready to fight the middle-aged man if he wanted to take action. Even if he knew he couldn't beat him, he would still fight to the death. Sir. Long Miaoyin was anxious and wanted to say something to persuade. Su Ming on the side saw this scene with a bright smile on his face, waiting for the scene where Xiao Fan had his arm cut off. Stop. However, at this time, a female voice came, interrupting the middle-aged man to take action. Who is it? The middle-aged man frowned. Everyone looked sideways, even Xiao Fan. This woman was wearing a red brocade skirt, with beautiful eyes like autumn water, and flowing black hair, giving people an otherworldly feeling. There was an old man beside her, with a respectful look on his face, and he followed the woman half a step behind when walking. The middle-aged man was stunned. He didn't recognize this woman, but he was very familiar with this old man. Xiao Yuanzhou, the master of the North Pavilion of Jinbao Pavilion. Mr. Qiao. I wonder why you are here. I will take care of things here. The middle-aged man seemed to be a different person. His attitude was extremely respectful, and it could even be seen that there seemed to be a lot of cold sweat on his forehead. Humph, how did you handle this matter? Do you think I didn't hear anything just now? If you don't stand down, you can take the punishment yourself. Pavilion Master Qiao Yuanzhou shouted coldly, with an ugly look on his face. Yes, I will accept the punishment now. The middle-aged man lowered his head and quickly led the people away from the place of right and wrong. No one at the scene recognized the woman, but what was certain was that her identity was anything but ordinary. Xiao Fan looked at the woman and the old man. He had never seen these two people in his memory. He couldn't understand why the other party would help him. Huh, are you curious about why I'm helping you? The woman in the red dress smiled, as if she could read Xiao Fan's thoughts. Xiao Fan nodded. The identity of the other party was not simple at first glance. He didn't believe that the other party was just innocent and kind-hearted. The woman in the red dress smiled brightly. If I say that you helped me win 100,000 spiritual stones, is this reason enough? 100,000 spiritual stones. Xiao Fan was stunned and didn't understand what the woman in the red dress meant. Huh, forget it if you don't know. My name is Wu Qingyan. You don't need to take this matter to heart. No one will bother you when you come to this Jinbao Pavilion in the future. The woman in the red dress smiled, with small dimples showing on both sides of her face. Turned and left, the master of the pavilion, Qiao Yuanzhou, also smiled and said, "Young man is very nice. My name is Qiao Yuanzhou. You can call me Mr. Qiao. I will come to Zhenbao Pavilion often in the future." After that, the old man followed the woman in red dress and left. No one knew who this woman was. They only knew that her status must be high. After the woman left, Xiao Fan breathed a sigh of relief. "Let's go too." Xiao Fan spoke to Long Caiwei, who nodded. He was just here to buy gifts. He didn't expect that so many things would happen. Su Ming on the side was dumbfounded and had no idea what was going on. "Is it over?" "Let's go." Su Ming said fiercely and wanted to take people away, but he was not as lucky as Xiao Fan and was stopped by someone. "Master Su, you haven't handed over your 200 spiritual stones yet." Back at Long's house, Xiao Fan was thinking about the identity of the woman named Wu Qinyan. He repeatedly confirmed that it was indeed the first time he met the other party. Why did the other party say that he helped him earn 10,000 spiritual stones? When did you have this ability? Why doesn't he know it himself? But he couldn't figure it out, so he didn't think much about it. After arriving at the other courtyard, he went directly to the secret room to practice. This trip made him realize once again his own shortcomings. There is danger everywhere in this world. He has no backer but himself. Entering the secret room, sitting cross-legged, his spiritual consciousness entered the star diagram, and he began to absorb a large number of spiritual stones. The first 3 levels of the 9 transformations of Qi transformation are enough for him to reach the 3rd level of perfection in the Qi transformation realm. After that, he will crush the stars again to obtain the remaining skills. As for the people sent by the Long family to follow Xiao Fan, because the latter entered the Xuanzi layer of the Zhenbao Pavilion, he was unable to enter, so he did not know what happened next. Therefore, the Long family had no idea about Xiao Fan's sale of the Lingjiao Dao and his purchase of the blood spirit Ginseng. Time flies and it's Long Anhai's birthday. The entire Jingchuan city was very lively today, and there was an endless stream of people coming from all over to congratulate him. It was the 60th birthday of the head of the Long family in Jingchuan city. The entire Long family was decorated with lanterns and colorful decorations, and the main hall was filled with banquets, all filled with precious delicacies. The lifespan of a monk is far longer than that of ordinary people. It is easy to live to 180 years old in the body-forging state. If you reach the Qi transformation state, you can add 50 years to your lifespan and you can easily live to 150 years old. In the Tong Tian state, you can live to 200 years old. Lifespan. The reason why it was so grand was entirely to highlight the momentum of the Long family. Long Anhai was in a very good mood today, chatting with several friends around him. These were all famous figures in the neighborhood. The Su family in Moyun City is here, and I'm sending you a pair of Biu Rui. The Wang family of Linchuan City is here, and I want to give you a piece of radiant stone. Each of the big families sent people to deliver congratulatory gifts. The heads of these families would not go out under normal circumstances, but they would send the elders and geniuses from the younger generation of the clan to attend such banquets. In the main hall, there were various treasures piled up, and Long Anhai was already smiling from ear to ear. Although these treasures were given for the sake of his family master, they did not need to be stored in the clan's internal treasury. They all belonged to him personally, so he was naturally overjoyed. At this time, Xiao Fan and Long Caiwei were sitting at the table next to the main table. Also at the same table were Long Xiaotian, Long Yi, some direct descendants of the Long family, and some children of other big family forces, among which Su Ming was also here. In the crowd. Chapter 22 Provocation at the dinner table. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dear friends, you have come to attend my 60th birthday, Long Anhai, despite your busy schedule. I would like to thank you all for your honor. Long Anhai stood up, grinning from ear to ear, shaking his fists in all directions, laughing heartily. What are you talking about? It's Brother Long's 60th birthday, so of course we should come and visit. That's right, Brother Long said something serious. You and your brother haven't seen each other for so long. I just want to take this opportunity to see you. Brother on high, I will never come home until I'm drunk today. As the head of the Long family, Long on high naturally had a lot of people who wanted to curry favor with him, so they all greeted him politely. There were 15 people at Xiao Fan's table including him, all direct geniuses from major families. Except for Long Yi and Long Xiaotian, the other people looked at him and Long Miaoyin with curious eyes. They were strangers to Xiao Fan, but they all knew his identity as the son-in-law of the Long family. Some people looked at him with curiosity, while others looked at him with contempt. After all, these people were not from Jingchuan city and did not know his strength. Looking at Long Miaoyin, it was a bit strange. The third young lady of the Long family was said to be born with a birthmark on her face, and was commonly known as the ugly monster. I had only heard about it before, but today was the first time I saw Long Miaoyin in person. However, Su Ming looked at Xiao Fan and the other two with unconcealable anger. Brother Su. What's wrong with you today? Are you so murderous? A handsome man on the side laughed. In fact, it was not just him. Many people at the table noticed that Su Ming seemed to have a grudge against Xiao Fan and kept staring at him fiercely. Opposite. No, it's nothing. Su Ming shook his head. He was not willing to mention such an embarrassing thing in Zhenbao Pavilion in public. Although the Su family was a large family, the compensation of 200 spiritual stones also earned him a scolding from the clan elders. Long Yi's eyes flashed and he said with a smile, "You may not know each other yet, but this is the husband of my third sister, Long Miaoyin, Xiao Fan, the son-in-law of my Long family." He pointed at Xiao Fan and introduced to everyone present. In fact, even if he didn't say anything, the people present would probably have guessed Xiao Fan's identity. He said this just to discuss Xiao Fan. A son-in-law visiting your home is a shameful thing at any time. Xiao Fan glanced at Long Yi coldly and said nothing. The atmosphere at the scene was suddenly a little weird. Anyone who wasn't stupid could tell that Long Yi was deliberately humiliating Xiao Fan. However, some people were a little confused. Was Long Yi free? Are you looking for trouble on your father's birthday, regardless of the occasion? But then Long Xiaotian laughed and said, "Don't underestimate Xiao Fan. Although he is the son-in-law of my Long family, he is also very strong. Even I am not his opponent." As soon as this statement came out, everyone at the scene was in an uproar. Isn't Long Xiaotian, the descendant of the Long family, Xiao Fan's opponent? Brother Xiaotian, stop joking, how can you not be his opponent? Su Ming sneered, he is just a door-to-door son-in-law. I heard that he was a trash sent here after his brother beat him half to death. Although Su Ming had suffered a loss against Xiao Fan before, he was still unconvinced and wanted to taunt him whenever he had the chance. Isn't that right? Brother Long, you are the #1 member of the younger generation of the Long family. How could you not be a match for his son-in-law? The speaker looked at Long Xiaotian respectfully, but when he looked at Xiao Fan, the unconcealable contempt was completely written on his face. What I said is true, I am indeed not his opponent. Long Xiaotian paused and then smiled. Besides, I dare to conclude that no one here will be his opponent. As soon as this statement came out, it immediately aroused dissatisfaction among everyone present. They are all geniuses from major families, yet they are said to be inferior to a son-in-law. This is humiliation, naked humiliation. Long Xiaotian, you know I don't like joking. You'd better take back what you just said. The man who spoke was dressed in black and had cold eyes. This was the first time he spoke after sitting down. Wang Xuan, I didn't lie. I am indeed no match for him, but you? I don't know. Long Xiaotian said calmly and smiled lightly. The people around him looked at Xiao Fan with hostility. Xiao Fan didn't say a word from beginning to end, but everyone in the house was already hostile. Long Miaoyin's face was also ugly. She didn't expect that her two brothers would sing and make enemies of Xiao Fan here. I'm a little curious about what Xiaotian said. Your name is Xiao Fan, right? I've heard of Xiaotian from the Xiao family in Jingchuan city. He is indeed a genius. It is said that he was spotted by Piaomiao Immortal Palace. He is accepted as a disciple, but it is said that his brother is a waste. The person who spoke was a young man in purple robe, looking at Xiao Fan with provocative eyes. No matter how powerful a door-to-door son-in-law can be, how powerful can he be? Someone else said contemptuously. His words represented the aspirations of most people present. Everyone laughed at Xiao Fan, and Long Miaoyin looked ugly. She wanted to stand up and speak for Xiao Fan, but was pinned down by the latter. Maybe I'm a waste, but... Xiao Fan looked around and saw the faces of these people one by one, and then he smiled lightly and said, "But you people who are not as good as me, are you even a waste? Not as good as anything. Arrogant. Arrogant." They were all geniuses in the field. If they could endure such humiliation from a visiting son-in-law, some of them would fall out on the spot. "Xiao Fan, do you dare to challenge me? Trash, do you dare to compete with me? Let me teach you the principles of life. Everyone, please don't do this. Today is my father's birthday. Please don't hurt the harmony." Long Xiaotian and Long Yi persuaded from the side, but there was a faint smile of schadenfreude on the corners of their mouths. It was the two of them who proposed to let Long Miaoyin and Xiao Fan attend the birthday banquet, and it was previously discussed to make enemies for Xiao Fan at the dinner table. "Can't you Xiao Fan be able to fight? But even if you can fight, you can still beat everyone here. You should know that Wang Xuan of the Wang family in Linchuan City is said to have reached the 4th level of Qi transformation realm. He was not selected into the Piaomiao Immortal Palace because he was older. There are also many other people with high cultivation levels." The noise here naturally attracted the attention of the people around. Long Anhai frowned and asked, "Xiao Tian, what are you arguing about?" "That it's my birthday. How decent is the commotion over there?" "Father, it's nothing. It's just that I said that Xiao Fan is very strong, and even I am not his opponent, so everyone doesn't believe it and wants to challenge Xiao Fan to see his strength." Everyone in the hall was in an uproar. It is not a secret that Long Xiaotian was defeated. Everyone in Jingchuan City knows it. However, those outsiders didn't know much, and they were immediately curious about what kind of strength this son-in-law had, that he could defeat Long Xiaotian. I think this is a good idea. Just eating is boring, so why not set up a ring and watch the excitement?" The old man from the Wang family sitting next to Long Anhai said with a smile. "I think so. It would be interesting to fight. Let's see how young people compete. It seems good. It is very common for young people to compete and compete." Seeing that everyone around them said this, Long Anhai nodded and said with a smile, "Then let's set up an arena and let these young people compete." Chapter 23 Su Ming's Challenge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It is very common for the children of the family to compete with each other, but today is an exception in the Long family, because the object of the discussion was not a direct descendant of the Long family, but a visiting son-in-law. Xiao Fan did not refuse the proposal to compete with each other. The reason was very simple. He wanted to use his strength to tell those who just laughed at him as waste who was the waste. Long Anhai ordered his servants to clean up the open space in front of the main hall and prepare a venue. The servants were quick in their hands and feet, and in less than a moment, a small competition arena of several hundred square meters was completed. The young man in purple who had just laughed at Xiao Fan was the first to stand up. "Come here, son-in-law, come here, I'll be the first to challenge you, let's see what your strength is." The young man in purple clothes is also a child of a big family, and he directly teases Xiao Fan in public regardless of the occasion. Ha ha ha. Many people couldn't help but laugh when they heard the word son-in-law. However, those who laughed were not from Jingchuan. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't be able to laugh. Xiao Fan remained silent and stood directly on the ring, looking at the young man in purple opposite him like he was an idiot. "Son-in-law, let me tell you, my name is Gengyu. Remember to beg for mercy if you can't beat him later. I will be merciful." Gengyu, the young man in purple, laughed. Xiao Fan said calmly, "This sentence is also effective for you." He stood there and moved slightly, his face calm. On the opposite side, Gengyu had already rushed forward with murderous intent. He moved his cultivation around his whole body. The air around him was a little distorted, and his momentum was astonishing. This Gengyu has actually reached the 1st level of Qi transformation realm. It seems that he is not far from the 2nd level. The Gung family has produced an incredible genius. Brother Gung, your Gung family is very lucky. Someone around Long Anhai started complimenting the elder of the Gung family. Gung Yu was less than 20 years old and had reached the Qi transformation realm. He was a genius. What's the matter? It's still far from good, but he should be better than the son-in-law opposite. The Gung family elder smiled with a smile on his face, and while being humble, he did not forget to belittle Xiao Fan. Long Anhai didn't say a word, silently praying that Xiao Fan would be gentle and not make the scene too ugly. Gung Yu was very fast and was about to reach Xiao Fan in the blink of an eye, but the latter did not move at all, not even in a prepared posture. Isn't your son-in-law from the Long family scared to death? That's why he doesn't dare to move. I think it's about the same. Are you going to be so scared that you wet your pants? That the children of the family laughed, and most of the unsuspecting people around him had the same idea. However, the smiles of these mocking people gradually solidified, because as soon as the Gung Yu in front of him got close to Xiao Fan, he was kicked in the abdomen by the latter and flew backwards, like a kite with a broken string. Even faster than the speed he rushed over just now, Gung Yu fell heavily to the ground, vomited blood. And his face was pale. He didn't see clearly how the other party took action. The faces of the Gung family members who were watching suddenly froze. They were so proud just now, but now they are blushing. Their genius was kicked away. Ahem, Brother Gung, don't mind, young man. Long Anhai smiled awkwardly. The young disciples of various families on the side were all dumbfounded after seeing it. One move after another was used. Oh my God, that's a lie. Gung Yu is at the first level of the Qi transformation realm. What kind of realm is that useless? Xiao Fan across from him, that everyone was a little dumbfounded, even Wang Xuan. He was the highest cultivated among the family members and was at the fourth level of the Qi transformation realm, but he felt the danger the moment Xiao Fan made his move. The opponent is very strong, very strong. You. Gung Yu, who was lying on the ground, looked at Xiao Fan with a vicious look, his body trembling a little. Me? Xiao Fan looked at him from a bird's-eye view, and said with a faint smile, what's wrong with me? You haven't fought enough, and you plan to stand up and continue fighting. That's just right. You were merciful just now, but you won't be anymore. Hearing Xiao Fan's words, Gung Yu spat out a mouthful of blood angrily, but asked him to stand up and continue fighting. How is this possible? Isn't that seeking death? I give up. Gung Yu is not willing to give in, but what can he do if he is not willing to give in? He was indeed no match for Xiao Fan. Although he had teased the other person for being his son-in-law before, he was convinced at this moment, Gung Yu's defeat caused an uproar around him. When did his son-in-law become so powerful? Of course, if they had watched the battle between Xiao Fan and Long Xiaotian, they would probably be even more surprised. Gung Yu reluctantly stood up and staggered out of the temporary competition ground. At this time, he was ashamed and wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl in. The Gung family looked at him angrily and did not say anything to reprimand. After all, if you lose, you lose. Next. However, Xiao Fan's challenge had just begun. He looked at the family members who had just mocked him at the dinner table. These family members who had just made fun of him but now did not dare to take the stage. Although they are arrogant, they are not fools. Most of them are about the same strength as Gung Yu, and some are even inferior to him. The other party was kicked away by Xiao Fan. They are looking for abuse. I come. At this time, Su Ming stood up. His cultivation at the second level of the Qi transformation realm was stronger than Gung Yu. Among the people present, except Wang Xuan, he was the strongest among the children of the major families present. Xiao Fan was in the treasure pavilion. Although he suffered some losses during the fight between the two, he thought he was just careless. It's Su Ming from the Su family. He looks like he has reached the second level of Qi transformation. I don't know what the result of this competition will be. Some people around began to whisper. No one dared to make a rash statement this time. After all, Xiao Fan's fighting power was too amazing. Except for some elders, his strength was enough to crush everyone. I suffered a loss in the treasure pavilion last time. I'll kill you this time, Su Ming shouted in a low voice, and his own cultivation was running wildly. It was several times stronger than the aura emitted by Gang Yu just now, and the ground around him was shaking. He was not stupid. Xiao Fan on the opposite side was very strong, so he had to use his full strength from the beginning and use his trump card to deal with him. Su Ming rushed up in one step, at an extremely fast speed, and his momentum was not comparable to that of Gang Yu just now. Explosive Dragon Palm. Su Ming's right hand flashed with brilliance. This explosive dragon palm was a mysterious martial art of the Su family, with amazing power. This explosive dragon palm is indeed well-deserved, and its momentum is amazing. An elder praised. This Su Ming is also a genius among the younger generation. I wonder if Xiao Fan can be his opponent. Everyone around was watching intently, wanting to see how Xiao Fan would respond to the Su family's explosive dragon palm. However, something unexpected happened. Xiao Fan stood there and moved slightly, just like he did when fighting Gang Yu just now. When Su Ming came to him, Xiao Fan moved, he leaned forward, clenched his right fist, and a terrifying pressure was released from his arm. He punched with all his strength. The collision of the fist and palm immediately set off a stream of air that burst out in all directions. However, everyone around was staring at the two of them intently, wanting to see how this fight between the two would end. However, the winner was decided in the next second. Su Ming vomited blood, a sound of bone cracking was heard, and his body flew backwards in the sky, farther than Gang Yu had just flown. The scene was silent, and Xiao Fan won again. Chapter 24 Wang Xuan takes action. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiao Fan's cultivation method in the body forging realm, Dragon Elephant Overlord body technique, and the cultivation method in the Qi transformation realm, 9 changes of Qi transformation. The power of these two techniques gave him strength far beyond his own level. What's more, he was facing Gang Yu and Su Ming who were weaker than him. Su Ming was lying on the ground, his face full of disbelief. But the pain coming from his right arm made him have to believe that all this was true. He could clearly feel that his right arm had been broken and he needed to take elixir to nurse him back to health. It takes a while to recover, but what made him most unwilling was that he didn't show his strength and didn't know the depth of the opponent, so it ended like this. How about it, who is the loser, you or me? Xiao Fan looked at Su Ming, looking down at him. You. Xiao Fan smiled lightly and said, do you still want to take action? I can wait for you to stand up. However, Su Ming was helpless. He lost, and he was indeed no match for the opponent. Su Ming, a veteran of the Su family, was taken away. Su Ming was seriously injured and needed timely treatment. This time Xiao Fan did not show mercy, but struck with all his strength. At this time, everyone at the scene looked at Xiao Fan in a different way, as if they were looking at a monster. I'll be next. However, a cold voice spoke at this moment, and he took a few steps to face Xiao Fan with a stern look on his face. Wang Xuan, the genius of the Wang family's generation, the person with the highest cultivation level among the young disciples present, is at the 4th level of the Qi transformation realm, 1 level higher than Xiao Fan. Wang Xuan took action. I don't know who will win this time. Wang Xuan is at the 4th level of Qi transformation realm. He is not at the same level as Su Ming and Gang Yu before him and cannot be compared. But, this Xiao Fan is not weak either. Discussions continued in front of the Long family hall. In mid-air, the ancestor of the Long family also heard the movement here and came to watch. He could clearly see Xiao Fan's move just now, and he was surprised by the strength shown by the other party. This Xiao Fan is not simple. The ancestor of the Long family murmured. With a look of expectation in his eyes, Xiao Fan calmly looked at Wang Xuan, who was at the 4th level of Qi transformation realm. This was the strongest person he had ever met. Wang Xuan stared at Xiao Fan, with a fighting spirit in his eyes. You are very strong, and no one among the family members present will be your opponent. Xiao Fan nodded. You are also very strong. You can better hone your strength by fighting against strong men. Xiao Fan lets me see how strong you are. Wang Xuan's voice became louder and louder, and at the end he roared. His aura suddenly increased, and his cultivation at the 4th level of the Qi transformation realm began to circulate, causing the ground around him to break and the air to become distorted as he headed toward Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan's expression was fierce, the Dragon Elephant Overlord body technique, and the 9 changes of Qi transformation movement were running smoothly. He did not dare to be careless when dealing with Wang Xuan. The other party's realm is a little higher than his own, and the other party is a genius among the family's children. His strength is also the best in the 4th level of the Qi transformation realm. Even if the opponent has the power to fight with the 5th level of the Qi transformation realm. Kill, that Wang Xuan's body shone brightly, like a bolt of lightning. He was so fast that he arrived in front of Xiao Fan in the blink of an eye and slapped him down with one palm. So fast, that Xiao Fan was surprised. After Wang Xuan reached 3 meters in front of him, his speed increased sharply. If he hadn't been prepared, he would have suffered a big loss in this round. Xiao Fan turned sideways to avoid Wang Xuan's palm, but the opponent's palm failed. Without any hesitation, his palm turned into a hand knife and struck Xiao Fan's neck in the air, like a thunderstorm, with surging momentum. The knife in this hand was extremely fast, and it was difficult for Xiao Fan to dodge, so he had a thought in his mind and decided to take this attack forcefully, using the method of exchanging injury for injury. He made a fist with his right hand and hit Wang Xuan's chest with all his strength. The momentum is fierce, one is aimed at the neck, and the other is aimed at the chest, and both are fatal places when both parties have no way to resist. A cold light flashed in Wang Xuan's eyes. He had a higher level of cultivation than his opponent, so this style of fighting was not good for him. He immediately retracted his knife and stepped back more than 10 meters. Xiao Fan's fist missed and hit the air. The two sides only fought for 1 round, and everyone around them was stunned. Both Xiao Fan and Wang Xuan were too ruthless, especially Xiao Fan. As soon as they fought, he tried to trade injuries for injuries with Wang Xuan. In fact, what they don't know is that the Dragon Elephant Body Tyrant technique practiced by Xiao Fan in the body training realm has tempered his physical body to the extreme, giving him confidence that even if the opponent's realm is higher than his, the physical body is still not as strong as his. Wang Xuan frowned. The attack just now was just a test attack. There was no difference between the two sides and no one was injured. However, he suffered a small loss by retreating. You are strong and worthy of my sword. The fighting spirit on Wang Xuan's face was even stronger than before. He took out a long sword from his storage bag, revealing a shooting cold light. This is the White Mist Sword. Some people around recognized the name of this sword and took a breath of cold air. What? It turned out to be the White Mist Sword, the sword of the previous generation of the Wang family in Linchuan City. That everyone around was surprised when they heard someone's explanation. This White Mist Sword was the natal magic weapon of the previous head of the Wang family. It was extremely precious and could be as famous as the Long family's unicorn sword. Unexpectedly, the Wang family would give the White Mist Sword to Wang Xuan. Does the Wang family intend to make Wang Xuan the next head of the family? That the surrounding discussions naturally reached Xiao Fan's ears. He did not expect that the long sword in the opponent's hand had such an origin. With weapons, Xiao Fan looked a little ugly. If it was a physical fight, he would not be afraid of the opponent, but if the opponent held a magic weapon in his hand, he would have to be cautious. I'm a sword cultivator, so I can't really bully you if I use a sword. Wang Xuan seemed to have found a reason, and then rushed forward with the White Mist Sword in hand. This time, Xiao Fan did not stand still and wait for the opponent to attack and counterattack. He wanted to strike first. He didn't have a suitable weapon on him. He had a unicorn knife before, but he sold it, but even if he didn't sell it, Xiao Fan wouldn't dare to take it out and use it in this situation. Wang Xuan's strength, holding the White Mist Sword, has risen to a new level, and he is not comparable to what he was just now. Whether it's speed or attack method, they are extremely powerful. Xiao Fan dared to trade injuries with him before, but he didn't dare to do so now. You punch the other person, he stabs you, he might be dead. However, Xiao Fan is not a vegetarian. His body is flexible and changeable. He can dodge the opponent's White Mist Sword attack very dexterously, and then take the opportunity to attack the opponent at close range. Wang Xuan naturally saw Xiao Fan's intention, but it was nothing to him. Every time Xiao Fan attacked him at close range, the angle was very tricky, making it impossible for his white mist sword attack to hit the opponent's vital points. However, Xiao Fan couldn't use his full strength up close. After all, he had to guard against the white mist sword, fearing that he would be killed by the opponent's sword. The white mist sword is sharp. After the two sides fought for dozens of rounds, 7 or 8 blood marks appeared on Xiao Fan's body, and the blood dyed the white robe red. Chapter 25 The Power of the Throat Lock. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This battle was very unfavorable for Xiao Fan. Under the Xiandan realm, physical injuries can be fatal to cultivators. Xiao Fan spat out a mouthful of blood, then looked up at Wang Xuan. The opponent was hit by his fists several times during the fight. Although he did not use his full strength, Wang Xuan also suffered some internal injuries, but compared with Xiao Fan, it was nothing. This Xiao Fan is very strong, but he did not have a suitable weapon in his hand, so he suffered a great loss. You can't say that. After all, Wang Xuan is a sword cultivator, and he can only use the sword to exert his own strength. Many people started to discuss, and now their views on Xiao Fan have changed. After all, the strength and talent shown by the latter are enough for them to pay attention. Long Miaoying had a scarf on her face, and no one could see what her expression was, but it could be seen from her eyes that she was very nervous and worried. Long Yi was excited on the side, and he was in a good mood when he saw Xiao Fan injured. Go. It's best to kill Xiao Fan. Long Yi thought and calculated in his heart. Long Xiaotian's expression was somewhat complicated. As a descendant of the Long family and the pride of the young generation of the Long family, he lost to Xiao Fan. He should have accepted it in a manly way and looked for opportunities to challenge him in the future, but he actually agreed with Long Yi's opinion and provoked Xiao Fan to conflict with others. Wang Xuan looked at Xiao Fan and said calmly, "You are not my opponent. There is no point in fighting. In the end, you will be the only one who will be exhausted." If Xiao Fan didn't have any killer moves and continued to consume like this, he would indeed be unable to hold on before Wang Xuan. Xiao Fan was not angry, but smiled lightly. Who can know if you don't try? Wang Xuan frowned, but then relaxed. I admire your persistence, so continue. Wang Xuan rushed forward with the white mist sword in his hand, his breath surged, and white light flashed wherever the white mist sword was drawn. Xiao Fan took a deep breath, operated his own cultivation to the extreme, and then ejected. He did not keep a distance from Wang Xuan to dodge the attack, but directly fought in close combat. In fact, if you can't win in a close combat against a sword cultivator, you will be the only one who suffers. The most rational way should be to keep a distance, avoid the opponent's attack, and then find an opportunity to kill. Xiao Fan always fights in close combat, which makes everyone confused, even Wang Xuan in the battle. He doesn't believe that Xiao Fan is a fool and doesn't understand these. Wang Xuan couldn't help asking, "Don't you know that close combat is meaningless?" However, Xiao Fan just raised the corner of his mouth and ignored it, still fighting in his own way. Wang Xuan frowned. He always felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't figure it out. The two sides fought for a while, and Xiao Fan had a few more bloodstains on his body, but Wang Xuan didn't see any fear on the other side's face. On the contrary, he saw some excitement on Xiao Fan's face. Could it be? Wang Xuan had a bad idea, but then shook his head and denied it, thinking that he must have thought too much. This battle has dragged on for long enough. It's not that Wang Xuan doesn't want to end it, but Xiao Fan on the opposite side is too tenacious. No matter how many swords he hit, he still stands still. Do you find it strange? Yes, a normal person would admit defeat after fighting until now, knowing that there is no chance of winning, but this Xiao Fan. Even the elders of the Wang family said, Wang Xuan didn't hold back, and the opponent can still hold on. This is really strange. These elders are all masters, and they can naturally see that something is wrong in this battle. Everyone is a little curious, but they have no clue. However, the children of the family don't think so. They are not good enough in cultivation and their vision is far behind, so they naturally can't understand those things, but they are very unhappy to see Xiao Fan as a son-in-law. They were slapped in the face by Xiao Fan just now, which made them very embarrassed. Now that Wang Xuan has stood up, they are naturally happy. Wang Xuan, come on, kill the son-in-law on the other side. Xiao Fan, you should admit defeat, and then be a son-in-law. Hearing someone nearby say this, Long Yi's smile became even bigger. If it weren't for his inappropriate status, he would have ridiculed them like everyone else. Xiao Fan in the field heard this, and he glanced at these people coldly. Stared at by the other party's cold eyes, these family members were so scared that they didn't dare to continue speaking. Then Xiao Fan looked at Wang Xuan, go on. And, I want to thank you. Thank you. Not many people at the scene could understand what Xiao Fan meant by this sentence, especially the family members, who stared at each other, wondering what this thank you meant. However, the ancestor of the Long family in the air was amazed. It seems that this kid has underestimated him before, and I didn't expect his talent to be so strong. Maybe he really doesn't have any opportunities, it's just his own talent. Wang Xuan was full of bad premonitions, and he was in a very bad mood when his opponent said this. Xiao Fan, stop being so stubborn. I won't show any mercy if we continue fighting. Xiao Fan smiled and said, to express my gratitude, don't worry, I will show mercy. Xiao Fan once again approached Wang Xuan, and like before, he planned to fight him in close combat, but the difference is that Xiao Fan's speed now seems to be a little faster than before. Not good. The white robe stained red by blood floated in front of his eyes. Wang Xuan was shocked. This time he felt danger from the other party, extreme danger. He wanted to duck and retreat, but Xiao Fan was already close. How could he give him this chance? Xiao Fan's figure suddenly jumped up from below, and the two looked at each other. Wang Xuan looked shocked, while Xiao Fan opposite showed a smile, but this smile looks like a devil in Wang Xuan's eyes. Damn it, Wang Xuan cursed, swung the long sword in his hand and struck Xiao Fan, but it was already too late. Throat lock, Xiao Fan shouted in his mouth, formed a seal with his right hand, and poured the remaining strength of his body into the seal. The golden light of the seal was strong, and the momentum was astonishing. Then he roared and blasted towards Wang Xuan's throat in front. Wait a minute. The boss of the Wang family was shocked and shouted out quickly. It was too late to stop him. Everyone around him was dumbfounded. The momentum displayed by Xiao Fan's move was really amazing. I don't know whether he heard the old man's words or Xiao Fan's own decision. When the seal of his right hand was about to reach his throat, Xiao Fan changed its direction and hit his chest. Wang Xuan was hit by the seal, and his mind went blank. He only felt the sound of bones cracking in his chest. However, his whole body flew backwards, flying more than 20 meters away and hitting the wall before stopping. Down, he vomited a mouthful of blood and passed out. There was silence all around, except for the Wang family elders who hurriedly ran to check whether Wang Xuan was dead or alive. Chapter 26 Strongly Suppressing Long Caiwei's Return. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Wang family was relieved. Fortunately, Wang Xuan was not dead, but only seriously injured. He wanted to get angry, but when he thought about how Xiao Fan had moved the location where the seal fell, he shook his head and smiled bitterly. If the other party didn't show mercy, Wang Xuan would probably be dead. Xiao Fan actually won. He defeated Wang Xuan at the 4th level of Qi transformation realm. Oh my god, I'm not dreaming. Many people around were in a daze, thinking that all this was unbelievable. A waste son-in-law actually defeated the genius Wang Xuan. If you have the ability, would you like to be a door-to-door son-in-law? Is this the trash of the Xiao family? If this is waste, then who are we? At this moment, the children of each family were extremely complicated and found it difficult to accept this reality. They felt that they had been severely hit in their hearts, but they had to admit that they themselves were indeed inferior to this brother-in-law. Xiao Fan stood there and took a deep breath. The use of throat lock just now had consumed most of his remaining strength, but the power did not disappoint him. If that move was aimed at Wang Xuan's neck, everyone in the Long family looked at Xiao Fan with complicated expressions. Long Anhai could not have imagined that his son-in-law, whom he had always despised, could be so strong. Long Yi's face was stiff. He did not expect that Xiao Fan actually won, and this move of his. It also made the other party famous. Long Xiaotian's face was complicated, and he didn't know what he was thinking. Seeing Xiao Fan win, Long Miaoyin almost shed tears of excitement. She felt heartbroken when she saw Xiao Fan's body covered in blood. Who else wants to challenge? At this time, Xiao Fan, who was standing still, turned around and looked at the family members calmly. At this time, Xiao Fan was covered in blood, with more than a dozen blood marks on his body. Even the tiger's mouth on his right hand was cracked due to the use of the throat lock. His whole body was covered with wounds, but facing Xiao Fan like this, they had no fighting spirit at all. Just kidding, the other party fought like a madman. Wang Xuan was almost killed. Are they going to look for death? These young family members were stared at, and all of them gave in. They lowered their heads and did not dare to look at Xiao Fan. At this moment, Xiao Fan completely confirmed that he was the number one among the young family members present. Long Anhai looked around. He knew that the matter should be over. Xiao Fan's fighting ability impressed him. He even estimated that it would not take many years for Xiao Fan to reach his current level of cultivation. Everyone, I think this children's sparring can be stopped. Let's go back and continue drinking. When Long Anhai said this, the elders of the major families around him were naturally willing, especially those elders whose children were so frightened that they did not dare to speak. They wished it would end as soon as possible. People around him dispersed and walked towards the main hall. Everyone deliberately kept a distance from Xiao Fan when walking around, for fear of angering this evil star. Long Miaoyin rushed forward, checked Xiao Fan's injuries up and down, and breathed a sigh of relief after confirming that there were no fatal injuries. Xiao Fan smiled, "You don't have to worry. It'll be fine. Let's go back. I'll give you some medicine and change into new clothes." Long Miaoyin said, and then pulled Xiao Fan to leave. Xiao Fan did not move, but shook his head and said with a smile, "It's okay. My injuries don't matter. I can just go back and change my clothes. Today is your father's birthday. If it's not good for you to leave with me, you can wait here. I'll be back after I change my clothes." Because of her birthmark, Long Miaoyin attended her father's birthday party for the first time in so many years, and Xiao Fan didn't want her to leave with him halfway. Seeing that the latter was still hesitating, Xiao Fan said softly, "Don't worry, these are just skin injuries. I will be back soon." Only then did Long Miaoyin obey, turned around and entered the main hall. The ancestor of the Long family in mid-air had a brilliant look in his eyes, which others could not see clearly. This kid actually calmed down and tempered himself in the battle. Good guy, he's brave enough. But what was the last martial skill he used and how powerful was it? Returning to the other courtyard, Xiao Fan entered the star map with his spiritual consciousness and took some remaining elixir to recover from his injuries. There was not much left after the last battle with Long Xiaotian. Fortunately, he always knew whether the injury was serious or not. It was just a superficial wound. After taking the medicine in the star dough too, Xiao Fan opened his eyes and smiled. Sure enough, improving your strength in battle is the fastest. In this battle with Wang Xuan, he could have directly used the throat lock to defeat him. However, Xiao Fan changed his mind midway. He wanted to improve his strength. He used Wang Xuan as a stepping stone to hone himself and push himself to the limit to seek growth in strength. Now Xiao Fan is confident that he will reach the third major perfection in retreat. Then the third star was shattered above the Long family hall. After the competition just now, the atmosphere was a little low for a while. The elders of all the families at Long Anhai's table were a little embarrassed. After all, their direct lineage geniuses were defeated by their son-in-law. As for Long Xiaotian and the other geniuses on this table, none of them were embarrassed to say anything. After all, they were so embarrassed. As for Wang Xuan, Su Ming, and Geng Yu, they were in a coma, and they were not healing their wounds. Long Miaoyin sat quietly and did not speak. As for the guests at other tables, seeing that the two main tables were silent, they did not dare to speak loudly. Long Anhai was a little embarrassed. His birthday suddenly became so lifeless, and he must be in a bad mood. At this time, a servant suddenly ran in from outside the door. "Master, the fourth lady is back." Hearing this, Long Anhai was overjoyed. Here is the weed picker. Dad, I'm back. Everyone looked at the door, and a woman from Qingshan walked in. She had a pink face and watery red phoenix eyes under her eyebrows. She was not as generous and decent as a traditional woman, but had a lively and cute feeling. Long Caiwei jumped up to Long Anhai, who touched her face lovingly. I haven't been home for so long, and I don't know why I miss my dad. Long Kai smiled and said, No way, aren't you coming back just in time for Dad's birthday? Long Caiwei is Long Anhai's fourth child. She is usually his favorite and the youngest among all his children. Long Anhai had a total of 3 wives. The first wife gave birth to Long Xiaotian and Long Yi, who were Long Anhai's first wives. The second wife gave birth to Long Miaoyin, but she died not long after Long Miaoyin was born. The third wife gave birth to Long Kai Wei's mother. The status of women in the Long family is very low, even the first lady of Long Anhai is the same. She is not qualified to attend even an occasion like today. The situation of Long Caiwei's mother was different from others. His mother's family was powerful, so she simply returned to her parents' home after her quarrel with Long Anhai. This time Long Caiwei also came back from her mother's side. Dad, I heard that a son-in-law came to the house and got married to the third sister. Where is he? Chapter 27 Giving Gifts One After Another. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Logically speaking, a son-in-law will be looked down upon no matter what time or place he is, but when Long Caiwei said that she wanted to meet this brother-in-law, the faces of the people around her were a little weird. Dad, what happened? Long Caiwei asked. Naturally, she noticed something was wrong in the surrounding atmosphere. When she said she wanted to see Xiao Fan, she felt that the expressions of the people around her froze. Long Anhai coughed dryly and laughed. It's nothing. Let's not talk about this for now. Caiwei, please take your seat first. Long Caiwei nodded obediently and didn't ask any more questions. Long Anhai's table was the main seat, and the people sitting here were all elders of major families. She obviously couldn't sit here, sitting with Long Xiaotian and others. This table is the most suitable. Third sister, you are here too. Long Caiwei was surprised when she saw Long Miaoyin. In the past, Long Miaoyin would not attend such an occasion. She sat directly on the seat next to Long Miaoyin. Before Long Miaoyin could speak, she rushed to ask, Third sister, where is my brother-in-law? I heard that he is from the Xiao family, sent to marry into the family, right? Long Caiwei asked a lot of questions in one breath. She only heard that her third sister was married to an adopted son-in-law, and other things were unclear. She is from the Xiao family. Long Miaoyin was a little embarrassed and didn't know how to explain this. Long Caiwei asked, What about my brother-in-law? I guess I'll be back soon. Hearing what Long Miaoyin said, the faces of everyone present were a little ugly. If they could, they really wouldn't want to sit at the same table as Xiao Fan. Long Caiwei said oh and looked at the others. She didn't know the children of the other families here. She just saw that their faces were a little ugly. She couldn't figure out why. But when he saw Long Yi and Long when she saw Xiao Tian, she found that their expressions were the same as others, and she had doubts again. Brother, second brother, what's wrong with you? Why are your faces so red? Long Xiaotian coughed dryly, feeling a little embarrassed and did not speak. Long Yigan smiled and said, It's nothing, maybe it's just too stuffy in the room. Long Caiwei was curious, you, a monk, are still afraid of the heat? But he didn't continue to ask. Long Miaoyin and Long Caiwei have a good relationship. Long Caiwei is one of the few people in Long Mansion who doesn't dislike Long Miaoyin. They hold her hand and ask questions. Sister, is my brother-in-law good-looking? Sister, I heard that he has a younger brother named Xiao Tian who is a genius. I heard from my family that he planned to marry me to him. Sister, is my brother-in-law really that useless? I heard others say he is a waste. Long Caiwei kept asking questions one after another. Especially when the people around her heard the word trash, their faces turned red. In the end, Long Yi couldn't stand it anymore. This time, in order to plot against Xiao Fan, he set up two plans. If the first one failed, he would start the second one. Dad, today is your birthday, and I specially prepared this century-old blood ginseng tree for you as a birthday gift. Long Yi stood up and took out a brocade box from his storage bag. When he opened it, it contained bright red spiritual ginseng. Dad, this blood ginseng has a lifespan of 500 years. It will be of great benefit to your body after taking it. It can replenish qi and blood. Long Anhai took the blood spirit ginseng and was in a good mood. This gift was more in line with his wishes. That's right, Ear, you have your heart. After hearing Long Anhai's praise, Long Yi raised his brows and was in a good mood. The plan just now failed, but he will definitely not fail this time. Xiao Fan is just a son-in-law, so what if he can fight unexpectedly? Xiao Fan didn't have a penny when he came to Long's house. Long Miaoying's monthly salary was pitiful. How could he buy birthday gifts to compete with him? This blood spirit ginseng cost him 80 spirit stones to buy. It was extremely precious and he spent all his wealth to buy it. Seeing that Long Yi's gift turned out to be blood spirit ginseng, Long Miaoying's expression instantly froze. He didn't know what he was thinking, but it was covered by a gauze scarf, so outsiders couldn't see it. Long Xiaotian also stood up and took out a jade bottle from his storage bag. Dad, this is the dragon essence and tiger elixir. After taking it, it will make you older and stronger. This time I killed a fierce tiger when I went out and found someone to refine it. Before giving the gift, Long Yi had already told Long Xiaotian that he must give something precious this time and slapped Xiao Fan hard in the face. Okay. Long Anhai was in a good mood and took the dragon essence tiger pill. This is a great tonic for aphrodisiacs and kidneys. It's not that it's expensive, but it's hard to buy. It's often sold out within a lifetime. Supply exceeds demand. Seeing Long Anhai smiling happily, Long Yi turned around and glanced at Long Miaoying, his eyes still somewhat provocative, as if to say, come on, let's see what gift you give. What happened just now was embarrassing enough, but giving gifts now must not be embarrassing. TCH, what's so big about it? Long Caiwei raised her eyebrows, then took out a red spear from her storage bag. Dad, this is for you. Everyone around him gasped, and it was obvious at a glance that this spear was extraordinary. Golden Phoenix Spear. Long Anhai was stunned, then exclaimed, why did you bring the Golden Phoenix Spear here? Long Caiwei curled her lips and said, my mother gave me the Golden Phoenix Spear for self-defense. I don't have a good gift for you, so I'll just give it to you. The Golden Phoenix Spear was Long Caiwei's mother's magic weapon. It was a low-level Xianpin magic weapon and was very valuable. Take this back. Daddy has received your wish. Naturally, Long Anhai would not accept this gift. He had always loved his little daughter the most, and he would be very satisfied if the other party showed such affection. Long Caiwei raised her lips, glanced at Long Xiaotian and Long Yi proudly, and then put away the spear. The eyes of people around looked at Long Anhai with envy. Brother Long is so lucky. These children are so filial, which makes people envious. That is, if my children can be half as filial as Brother Long's family, then I will be satisfied. Hearing the flattery from the people around him, Long Anhai smiled brightly. He was indeed in a good mood. At this time, Long Yi glanced at Long Miaoying, who was still motionless in his seat, and said with a provocative smile, Third sister, today is my father's 60th birthday, and it is also your first time to attend. I don't know what you are going to do. What gift did you give your father? As soon as these words came out, everyone's eyes were focused on Long Miaoying. Long Miaoying was stunned. The birthday gift was indeed prepared, but it was on Xiao Fan. Third sister, didn't you prepare a gift? As soon as these words came out, the surrounding atmosphere suddenly changed and was filled with the smell of gunpowder. Not giving gifts to one's own father on his birthday is a big or small matter. If it is a small family, there is not much to say, but in a big family, this means disrespecting the elders. Long Anhai also looked over, his face a little gloomy. Who said I didn't prepare a gift? It's here with me. Chapter 28 The Origin of Blood Spirit Ginseng. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. At the entrance of the palace, Xiao Fan was dressed in a white robe, spotless, and he also washed himself. He didn't look like he had just fought. Long Caiwei's eyes lit up. Although it was the first time they met, she instinctively guessed the identity of the other party. Xiao Fan looked at Long Caiwei, whose face was red, and then glanced at Long Yi, who was about to shrink his head. Under the eyes of everyone, he took out the 1,000-year-old blood spirit ginseng from the storage bag. Blood spirit ginseng is divided into years, and the older it is, the more valuable it is. One characteristic of blood spirit ginseng is that the older it is, the stronger the bloody smell it emits. The one Long Yi sent was also a blood ginseng, but it was only 500 years old, which was obviously a big difference compared to this 1,000-year-old blood ginseng. This 1,000-year-old blood spirit ginseng. This bloody smell is unmistakable. It is definitely the Millennium blood spirit ginseng. I've seen one before, and the price was astonishingly high. I didn't expect to see it here. TSK. This is much more valuable than the 500-year-old blood spirit ginseng. Xiao Fan took the blood spirit ginseng directly to Long Caiwei, who couldn't put it down after getting it. Okay, Xiao Fan, Miaoyin, I understand your filial piety. Xiao Fan thought Long Caiwei's praise was nothing, but Long Miaoyin was different. Although she never admitted it, she always longed for her father's approval in her heart. How is this possible? Long Yi on the side looked pale. He originally thought that Long Miaoyin and Xiao Fan would not be able to afford any decent birthday gifts, so he planned to ridicule them. Although he also knew that ridiculing Xiao Fan and Long Miaoyin now would not change anything, he was still unconvinced and wanted to do everything he could to get revenge. However, he did not expect that he had worked so hard and spent all his savings to buy the century-old blood ginseng, and Xiao Fan actually gave him a 1,000-year blood ginseng as a gift. Although the century-old blood ginseng is expensive, it is also common, but the value of the 1,000-year blood ginseng is definitely many times more expensive than him. Xiao Fan glanced at Long Yi and said calmly, "What do you have to say?" Long Yi's face turned red from holding it back. He was completely defeated in this competition, but suddenly Long Yi's eyes lit up and he raised his head sharply. "No, you are a visiting son-in-law, and you were penniless when you came here. How did you get such precious blood spirit ginseng with the little money you earn every month from Long Miaoyin?" Long Yi discovered something suspicious about the matter and exclaimed. The eyes of everyone around him were focused on Xiao Fan. Even Long Caiwei was reminded by Long Yi's words. That's right, Xiao Fan is the son-in-law. How can he have so much money to buy this ginseng? This 1,000-year-old blood spiritual ginseng only costs hundreds of spiritual stones. How could Xiao Fan and Long Miaoyin have the money to buy it? Hearing Long Yi's words, Long Miaoyin's face turned ugly, and Xiao Fan's heart also made a thump. He had only wanted to give him a gift before, but he had not thought of how to explain where the spiritual stone for the gift came from. "Xiao Fan, where did you get this 1,000-year-old blood ginseng?" Long Yi sneered. "Did you go to the mountains to pick it?" Long Yi's words were aimed at Xiao Fan. Although he didn't say it explicitly, the meaning was already obvious. Long Caiwei's eyes were cold, and he somewhat believed his second son's words. "Xiao Fan, where did you get this 1,000-year blood spirit ginseng?" "I bought it from Zhenbao Pavilion." Xiao Fan answered truthfully. Long Miaoyin, who was standing by him, looked ugly and said eagerly, "It was really Xiao Fan who bought it. I went with him." She didn't expect that something like this would happen after giving a gift. If she had known this, she would not have come to attend her father's birthday. Long Caiwei's tone suddenly turned into a questioning tone. This matter was really too suspicious. Although the Long family is the #1 family in Jingchuan City, it does not mean that the Long family has no enemies. On the contrary, there are many forces that are hostile to the Long family. Not only are there families in Jingchuan City who are eyeing the position of the Long family, but there are also hostile forces from other cities. He now has some doubts about Xiao Fan's identity. "Did you buy it from Zhenbao Pavilion?" Long Caiwei asked again. Xiao Fan nodded without speaking, and was thinking about how to deal with it next. He was careless in this matter. He was able to handle the gift he gave, but he did not expect to explain the origin of the blood spirit ginseng later. After all, as a son-in-law, how could he buy so many spiritual stones? Long Anhai was thoughtful, and Long Yi sneered from the side. You said you bought it at Jinbao Pavilion? Where is that place? This kind of 1,000-year-old blood ginseng is probably only available in the Xuanzi layer, and the things there are expensive. How come you have the spiritual stone to buy it? What does it have to do with you that I have spirit stones? Xiao Fan said coldly. Hearing this, Long Yi was furious and was about to take the opportunity to get angry, but was interrupted by Long Anhai, who was standing beside him. The reputation of Jinbao Pavilion is guaranteed, and they will keep records of every item sold, so, old man of the second clan, take this blood spirit ginseng and go to Jinbao Pavilion and ask if it is with them. Purchased. Long Anhai handed the blood spirit ginseng to the elder of the two clans. The other party nodded, turned around and left quickly. Long Yi sneered, Xiao Fan, you still have time to explain clearly now, otherwise when the elders of the two clans come back, some things will not be explained clearly. Xiao Fan didn't speak, just looked at him with cold eyes, and Long Yi shut up in an instant. He almost forgot that the person in front of him was an evil star. It was originally a birthday party, but now it has become cold. No one spoke, everyone was waiting for the outcome of the matter. Although the members of the major families who came to the birthday banquet looked heavy-faced, they were happy in their hearts. It was a pleasure for them to see the Long family being embarrassed. Long Anhai's face was heavy and he kept his head down in deep thought. Long Xiaotian was the same, with a complex expression. He had been like this since Xiao Fan defeated Wang Xuan. During this period, Long Yi winked at him several times and asked him to speak against Xiao Fan, but he didn't say anything. Long Miaoyin was very worried, but she didn't show it, while Long Caiwei was the most careless, smiling as if waiting for a good show. Xiao Fan's expression was very calm, proving that he had no problem buying the blood spirit ginseng. The only thing he had to explain was where he got the spirit stone. Did you say that you sold the unicorn knife? It is estimated that everyone in the Long family will fall out on the spot. After a while, the elders of the second clan of the Long family rushed back in a hurry. He looked respectful, and there was an old man behind him. Master, I'm back and I have proven that Xiao Fan and Miao Yin bought the 1,000-year blood spirit ginseng. The elder of the two clans spoke eagerly as soon as he stepped into the door of the hall. The old man behind him remained expressionless. Did he really buy it? How is this possible? Before Long Anhai could speak, Long Yi was the first one not to believe it and said hurriedly, Old man of the second clan, please confirm with the Jinbao Pavilion. Isn't there a mistake there? The elder of the second clan was about to speak, but the old man beside him said coldly, I, Jinbao Pavilion, never make mistakes. Chapter 29 Mr. Qiao, the Master of the North Pavilion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The old man's words focused attention on him. He was dressed in a simple gray robe. There was nothing special about him, but his aura of superiority surpassed everyone present. Old man, are you from Jinbao Pavilion? Can you speak on behalf of Jinbao Pavilion? Long Yi asked. He was a little overwhelmed for a moment and could not accept this fact. He instinctively spoke out and had no time to think about the old man's identity. Shut up. At this time, the second elder hurriedly reprimanded Long Yi. His eyes turned red, and he said angrily, hurry up and apologize to Mr. Qiao. Long Yi was startled. The elders of the two tribes were always kind to others, but they had never been so angry with him. What happened today? Everyone at the scene had the same idea. The elders of the Long family rarely lost their composure, but how could they be so angry because of Long Yi's words? So everyone at the scene was curious about the identity of the old man, which could cause the two elders of the Long family to lose their temper like this. Who is this? Long Anhai asked. He felt that the old man in front of him looked familiar, but he couldn't remember who it was for a while. Haha. I'm Qiao Yuanzhou. The old man smiled lightly. Hearing the old man's name, Long Anhai's expression changed drastically and he hurriedly said, Mr. Qiao, why are you here? Then he walked to the old man very respectfully. I heard that someone framed a friend I just met, so I came over to see the excitement. Xiao Yuanzhou smiled lightly, then looked at Xiao Fan and nodded to say hello. Xiao Fan did the same, looking at the old man and nodding slightly. Xiao Yuanzhou, master of the North Pavilion of Zhenbao Pavilion. When everyone at the scene heard Xiao Yuanzhou say his name, they all remembered the identity of the old man in front of them. The entire Zhenbao Pavilion in Wuhuangzhou is extremely mysterious. Few people know who the pavilion master is. To the outside world, there are only 4 deputy pavilion masters who walk outside and deal with various matters. They correspond to the east, west, south, and north of Wuhuangzhou. The power of the region is so great that it can mobilize the treasure pavilion in the region to obey its orders, and the Qiao Yuanzhou in front of him is the North Pavilion Master of Zhenbao Pavilion. The person who manages all the treasure pavilions in the north of Wuhuangzhou. Hello, Mr. Qiao, I am from the Wang family in Linchuan City. I am so lucky to see you today. The elder of the Wang family quickly stepped forward to get close to you, with a flattering smile on his face. Mr. Qiao, I am from the Su family. Mr. Qiao, I am from the Li family. Knowing the identity of the old man, the elders of the major families at the scene didn't care about their identities at all. They all ran over to fawn over him, for fear of being half a step behind others. This made the arrogant family members around them look dumbfounded. What about the superior elder in my mind? Why have they become a bunch of licking dogs now? And you're still licking a bad old man? Of course, even if they knew the identity of old man Ming, it would be difficult to accept this psychological contrast. Long Yi's face was pale and without any blood. Even his eyes were a little blurred, and his back was wet with cold sweat. No, that's impossible. Although Qiao Yuanzhou just said a few words, the amount of information was too much for him to accept. Did Xiao Fan really buy the Millennium Blood Spirit Ginseng? The North Pavilion Master Qiao Yuanzhou in front of him actually called Xiao Fan his little friend. And he just loudly questioned the North Pavilion Master of the Treasure Pavilion. Long Yi, how dare you be rude to Mr. Qiao? Come here and kowtow to Mr. Qiao to apologize. That at this time, Long Anhai's roar came out, and Long Yi was so frightened that he trembled. He had never seen Long Anhai so angry with him. Dad, me. Long Yi wanted to say something else, but Long Anhai interrupted him directly and cursed angrily. You beast, if Mr. Qiao doesn't forgive you today, then you will no longer be a member of my Long family. Long Yi was shocked. He heard that Long Anhai's words were not a joke. With a strong desire to survive, he knew what to do now. Ask the old man in front of him for forgiveness. The surrounding area fell silent instantly, and Xiao Yuanzhou looked at everything in front of him with a smile without speaking. Long Yi ran to Xiao Yuanzhou as fast as he could, and then knelt down and kowtowed. Mr. Qiao, I was wrong, I didn't know it was you. If you don't remember the villain's mistakes, please forgive me. Bar. Xiao Yuanzhou smiled and looked down at Long Yi, who was trembling with fear, and then glanced at Xiao Fan who was sitting in his seat. Little friend, what do you think we should do about this matter? Xiao Yuanzhou spoke, and his words were naturally addressed to Xiao Fan. Although his voice was calm, it sounded different to everyone's ears. Xiao Yuanzhou actually called Xiao Fan his little friend. Xiao Yuanzhou came here today because of Xiao Fan. For a moment, the way everyone at the scene looked at Xiao Fan changed, from being contemptuous at the beginning, to admiration after Xiao Fan showed his own strength later, to now being unfathomable. Xiao Fan obviously didn't expect that Xiao Yuanzhou would ask him, but he knew that this was done intentionally by Xiao Yuanzhou to show his value. Forget it, just think it's just a dog barking. Xiao Fan called Long Yi a dog. The first time he called Long Yi a dog, Long Yi became furious on the spot. But this time he called Long Yi a dog, and Long Yi actually felt a little lucky in his heart. Forget it, just listen to the barking of dogs. Xiao Yuanzhou obviously didn't expect Xiao Fan to say this, but since the other party spoke, he just did it. He himself didn't like people like Long Yi. After hearing Xiao Yuanzhou's words, Long Yi breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that he was fine this time, but he knelt on the ground and did not dare to get up or even raise his head. Long Anhai also breathed a sigh of relief. Although Long Yi was scolded as a dog, it was embarrassing for him as an old man, but fortunately Qiao Yuanzhou didn't get angry. Others didn't know, but he knew very well how big the master of the North Pavilion of Zhenbao Pavilion was. "'S right, just one word is enough to destroy his Long family. Mr. Qiao, please come inside." Long Anhai greeted again. Qiao Yuanzhou shook his head and smiled. "No, I came here just to clear my little friend's name. Now that the matter is done, it's time for me to leave." Everyone regretted that they had lost this opportunity to curry favor with Qiao Yuanzhou. While everyone was feeling regretful, Qiao Yuanzhou looked at Xiao Fan and said with a smile, "Little friend, I'm leaving first. If you have time, remember to come and sit in my treasure pavilion." Xiao Fan nodded and smiled, "I will go." Qiao Yuanzhou laughed haha and turned to leave. All the elders of the major families at the scene rushed to see him off first. Xiao Fan didn't get up, and that was the case from beginning to end. On the one hand, he didn't like this kind of social interaction, and on the other hand, he was thinking, why would the other party help him? Forget it, I'll find out later when I go to the Zhenbao Pavilion and ask. Xiao Fan thought so, but in his mind, Wu Qinyan, the girl in red dress whom he met in the Zhenbao Pavilion that day, appeared in his mind. Chapter 30 The Mysterious Son-in-Law. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This birthday banquet is considered a rare one. It starts with a competition and a discussion, where the son-in-law shows off his talents. However, the direct lineage of the Long family looked down upon their son-in-law and was slapped in the face. In the end, even the North Pavilion master of the Zhenbao Pavilion was invited over. Even the high-ranking elders of major families have seen so much of the world that it is difficult to digest it for a while. After everyone sent Qiao Yuanzhou back, the atmosphere at the scene seemed to become weird. No one said a word, and all the elders of the major families, including the Long family, seemed to be looking at Xiao Fan with fear. He was shining brightly, as if admiring some peerless treasure. Xiao Fan felt uncomfortable looking at him, but he couldn't say much. Even Long Anhai looked at him like this, as if he were looking at a national treasure. Long Miaoying breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that the matter was over, but sitting next to Xiao Fan and being watched by a group of people made her feel uncomfortable, because of the birthmark on her face. She has been withdrawn and has low self-esteem since she was a child. She is especially afraid of looking at other people's eyes. Cough. Seeing that the atmosphere was not right, Long Anhai coughed dryly. Xiao Fan, how do you know Mr. Qiao? That the people around him first looked at Long Anhai, and then their eyes fell on Xiao Fan. Everyone at the scene was very curious about this problem. Xiao Fan said, "We met when we were buying blood spirit ginseng." What a plain and simple answer. However, these old guys at the scene would not believe that they knew who Qiao Yuanzhou was, and they could recognize him by buying a blood spirit ginseng. What a joke. If you can buy a blood ginseng, you can recognize it. They line up to buy it every day. However, no one would ask more questions. After all, Xiao Fan knew Qiao Yuanzhou, which in itself meant that the other party's identity was extraordinary. At least the other party can talk to Qiao Yuanzhou, and the other party will come for Xiao Fan. Long Anhai laughed dryly. He also thought that Xiao Fan was perfunctory, but he did not ask further questions in front of so many people. He looked at Long Yi, who was still kneeling on the ground, and said coldly, "Long Yi, you almost offended Qiao. Old man, if you cause great trouble to the family, I will punish you with 5 years of no monthly service and 100 whippings. After that, you will meditate on your mistakes within the family and will not be allowed to go out privately." After Long Yi heard this, he sat down on the ground and looked at Long Anhai pitifully. However, seeing that the latter showed no sign of negotiation, Long Yi had no choice but to bite the bullet and agree. 100 whips, even if he was a monk in the body-forging realm, he would still lose half his life if he could carry it. In fact, the people present didn't know that a large part of the reason why Long Anhai did this was to show Xiao Fan. After all, Long Yi had targeted him everywhere before, but now he was just using Long Anhai to sell Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan naturally saw through this, but said nothing. For him, hitting Long Yi with 100 whips is already considered light. "Brother-in-law, how do you know Mr. Qiao?" Long Caiwei asked from the side, her big eyes smiling. Long Caiwei was dumbfounded just now. She came from Qiao Yuanzhou, and then Long Yi knelt down to apologize. This series of operations was something she had never heard of. Her third brother-in-law, whom others call trash in front of her, doesn't seem to be simple, at least he is better than his two brothers. I met you when I was shopping. Xiao Fan still responded like this. After all, he was telling the truth, but the people around him didn't believe it. What could he do? Long Caiwei looked at Long Miaoyin and complained, "Sister, look at my brother-in-law." Long Miaoyin covered her mouth and smiled, then patted her sister's head lovingly. The birthday banquet continues, but this time is different from before. The elders of the various families are more respectful to Long Anhai. There is no way that the Long family has hooked up with Xiao Yuanzhou because of Xiao Fan's relationship. As long as Xiao Fan is still in the Long family, then the Long family will surely prosper several times. The elders of the major families were even more interesting. They came to Xiao Fan one by one with wine glasses in hand to toast, with only one purpose, to make Xiao Fan acquaintance. They didn't show the attitude of their elders, but they all looked kind and smiling. The Wang family member smiled and said, "Xiao Fan, you must come to Sichuan City to visit me when you have time in the future. I will personally receive you then. Xiao Fan, my Mo family is much richer than your Long family. Come over when you have time, and I will give you some treasures." There was an even more ruthless clan elder who smiled and said, "Xiao Fan, I see you are a talented person. I have 3 girls in their late 20s, why don't you meet later?" After hearing this, Long Anhai's face changed for a while, especially when he wanted to introduce all 3 girls to Xiao Fan at the end. He almost threw his glass in anger. But after all, it was his own birthday party, and it was still in his dragon mansion. In the end, he endured it. In the end, the birthday banquet was hastily dismissed. Xiao Fan did not want to stay for a moment longer, and ran away from the scene with Long Miaoyin as if running for his life. Only a mysterious back figure was left, which will be unforgettable in the hearts of these family children for a long time. After the children of these families returned, Long Yi had become a negative teaching material. In some families, hundreds of years later, stories about Long Yi, a negative teaching material, were still circulating. After Xiao Fan returned to the other courtyard, he briefly explained a few words to Long Miaoyin and then entered the secret room to retreat. "I fought against Wang Xuan today. Although I suffered a lot of injuries, it was all worth it." Xiao Fan was sitting cross-legged, with a strong aura. Cultivation not only requires the accumulation of resources, but also the precipitation and accumulation of time. Practicing blindly will not allow your cultivation to continue to grow, and you will always encounter bottlenecks. Xiao Fan has already reached the 3rd level of Qi transformation realm. At this time, he needs time to accumulate and settle in this realm, and then he can break through to the 4th level. However, after the battle with Wang Xuan, Xiao Fan greatly reduced this time. He was confident that after adjusting himself to the peak, he could break through to the 3rd level of Qi transformation realm, and then smash the 3rd star. After closing his eyes, Xiao Fan's spiritual consciousness entered the star diagram and practiced the 9 changes of Qi transformation technique. At the same time, a holy land shrouded in clouds and mist, towering as high as the clouds, among countless mountain peaks, is the misty immortal palace Xiao Tian had just participated in. The newcomer's entrance ceremony. He conducted a strict entrance selection and finally successfully joined the Piaomiao Immortal Palace and became an outer disciple, and the elder of the outer sect who took a fancy to Xiao Tian personally took Xiao Tian into his sect. It can be said that he leaped over the dragon gate and appeared like stars over the moon. Even some monks with higher cultivation levels than him were polite to him, and some even planned to follow Xiao Tian. It is very common for some powerful people to be willing to follow extremely talented evil geniuses just for the sake of having a chance to rise to prominence in the future. At this time, Xiao Tian was sitting cross-legged and breathing in his cave. After entering the immortal palace, he gained a lot of resources. In addition to the 1,000 spiritual stones he obtained from the Long family, his cultivation level improved rapidly and he was almost at the 6th level of Qi transformation realm. Heavy. Yes, this misty immortal palace is worthy of being a holy land. The spiritual energy is many times richer than the outside world. Xiao Tian slowly opened his eyes, feeling very good. At this time, a sound transmission jade pendant in Xiao Tian's storage bag glowed brightly. Junior brother Xiao, someone is looking for you outside. Xiao Tian frowned and then left the cave.